Hello, and welcome to this AMBA and BGA webinar on how business schools are preparing for the future. Discussion on internalization and sustainability in association with Perlego. I'm looking forward to an hour of really interesting insight, and shortly I will hand over to our panel chair, Isabel Miller, to start the conversation. Before I do, some housekeeping. We want the session to be as interactive as possible. So if any of you have questions to add, just add them to the question box for us to answer live at the end. If you miss anything, don't worry, because the recording and slides will be available in the post-event comms and on the AMBA and BGA website within a week or so. Without further ado, I'll now hand over to Isabel.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Sikandar. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to be presenting this panel discussion around how business schools can prepare for the future, with a special focus on internationalisation and sustainability. We have two brilliant panelists who will be giving their thoughts on this topic today. First up, we have Gretchen van der Spek-Schaffer, who is Director of International Business Administration Programs at TS School for Business and Society in the Netherlands. Gretchen, please could you give a quick introduction to TS and the work that you do there?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of this webinar today. It's very exciting. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, my name is Gretchen van der Spek, and I work at TS Business School, TS School for Business and Society. We're located in the Netherlands, as you mentioned, Isabel, and we're the business school of two Dutch universities, Tilburg University and the Technical University of Eindhoven. More about TIAS, accredited by AMBA, of course, and AACSB, and we're ranked internationally by the Financial Times and QS. It's a business school that offers a broad portfolio of educational programs, both degree and non-degree for companies, but also for individuals. And I myself at TS am responsible for our international portfolio. That includes an executive MBA, a full-time MBA, and a full-time master's in management, and also a short program about Dutch sustainability and innovation that we execute for other business schools that would like to send their students to the Netherlands for a week to learn about these specific topics. And for that portfolio, I'm mainly responsible for overseeing the commercial aspects, but overall operations, the finances, the career development, the partnerships that we have with other schools, and the rankings.
Amazing, thank you. What a kind of international focus, how exciting. So our second panelist is Dr. Peter Janssen, who is Principal Lecturer at the London School of Business and Finance in the UK. Peter, would you also like to introduce yourself and LSBF?
Sure, Isabel. First of all, thank you both to AMBA and Perlego for inviting me here as a guest speaker. As you said, my name is Peter Janssen. I'm a Dutch national, but I'm living in France. And I'm working for, among others, the London School of Business and Finance, LSBF. LSBF is a private business school in the United Kingdom, and it's owned by a for-profit education corporate group, Global University Systems. The group was founded in 2003 by an entrepreneur, Aaron Ettingen, and the school's main base is in London, with sites in Tower Hill and Holborn. We also have a branch in Singapore. The LSBF offers master degree programs in management, finance, and marketing, but also executive and corporate short courses and training for the ACCA, Association of Certified Chartered Accountants, and AAT, Associations of Accountant Technicians examinations. Our master degree programs, this is important to mention, are offered exclusively online. Personally, I'm, as Isabel said, I'm a principal lecturer. I'm specialized in sustainable business development, corporate governance and ethics, and corporate strategy, among others.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to chat to you both today. I'll just give a quick introduction to myself. My name is Isabel Miller, and I'll be chairing today's conversation. I am a business development manager at Perlego. For those of you who are unaware of Perlego, we are a digital learning platform providing students and educators with unlimited access to one of the biggest catalogues of academic and professional books from leading publishers. Our unlimited access subscription model levels the playing field by providing students from anywhere in the world with access to a comprehensive catalogue of high-quality resources, reducing barriers to learning, driving their personal development, and improving their confidence and readiness to join the workforce. As a student-first platform, we're dedicated to ensuring an exceptional learning experience, driven by improving engagement and outcomes. For university staff, Perlego offers simplicity by providing streamlined and unrestricted access to thousands of publishers in one place. So, because we work with hundreds of the world's most renowned business schools, providing them with learning resources, including TS and LSBF, myself and my team are lucky enough to spend all day, every day, chatting with a variety of stakeholders from business schools worldwide, understanding their needs and priorities. And it's always really interesting to see the shifting trends over the years in the sorts of initiatives that business education providers are focusing on. But two real stalwarts of our conversations with business schools in the last few years, and especially since the pandemic, have been our two topics for today: internationalisation and sustainability. Just to quickly clarify how we will be defining these two topics for today's conversation. By sustainability, we mean being aware of the impact of your actions on the environment, both as an individual and as part of a community. Taking responsibility for a positive impact on the planet, being mindful of the needs of others while conserving resources and promoting social equity. By internationalisation, we mean recruiting and supporting both students who are going to study online from their home countries and also students who are going to come from their home countries to study on campus. So we'll kick things off by discussing sustainability. Peter, why do you think it's important that this topic is a focus for business schools?
First of all, when we talk about sustainability, as you said correctly, we talk about what some call the 3 Ps: people, profit, and planet. What I will mainly focus on right now is the planet, so the environmental aspect of sustainability. Because I think for most of us, and certainly in the context of a business school, this is probably the most important aspect. Sustainability, of course, is related to climate change. And I think that there is an increasing understanding that climate change is not just an isolated an environmental issue. It's not only air pollution, but it's rather an anomaly that affects everyone and everything. And more people now are realizing that climate change is the issue of the 21st century and beyond. It affects every aspect of our lives, from the use of energy to how we eat, work, travel, etc. People are beginning to understand the interconnection of climate change and start to acknowledge the importance of integrated governmental policies on agriculture, transport, energy, and commerce. Also, due to increasing scientific proof, climate change has advanced from a possible long-term worry about negative environmental consequences to a direct concern about the melting of alpine glaciers, heat waves, hurricanes, water shortage, food production, etc., etc. Now, the whole concept of sustainable economic development was first mentioned in, I think most of us know that, in the Brundtland Report, Our Common Future, 1987, from the UN World Commission on Environment and Development. And they define sustainable economic development as meeting the needs of current generations without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And I think that's a very neat way to describe the importance of sustainable development, especially for future generations. Now, businesses, of course, also have a crucial role to play in realizing sustainability. And this is certainly true for corporate governance mechanisms, corporate leaders. Both are responsible for the control of corporate activities, and both need to address the needs of stakeholders in corporate decision-making. Now, in essence, sustainable business development is about keeping the balance between social, economic, and environmental concerns, taking care of the natural resources the company uses, and recompensing the communities in which companies work, and promoting long-term value creation for shareholders. However, it is also important to understand that next to creating environmental and social, next to increasing, environmental and social pressures, there are far more solid economic reasons behind the sustainable business trend.
Mm-hmm.
On the company level, sustainability has become key to sustaining competitiveness through measures such as waste management, improved resources, operational efficiency, and especially improved brand equity and reputational benefit. Now, of course, all this makes it kind of obvious that sustainability should be a key focus of business schools because it directly affects all aspects of a business. Thank you, Isabel. I hope this was helpful.
It was perfect. Gretchen, I'd love to hear if you have any further thoughts on this.
Well, first of all, I think Peter, he's the expert in being as a professor in this area, so
Yeah.
I can't agree more. He has such a good way of explaining and sharing that. So I also want to thank you, Peter, for that. With regards to TIAS and how we look at sustainability, a school for business and society, TIAS really believes that economic success and societal progress, that they go hand in hand. Yeah, so we're really there. We want to support professionals and the future leaders in their professional and personal development to be able to have the knowledge, the skills, the competences, and the confidence to go out and make a positive impact, and not only make profit for business, but also, also taking into consideration the people and the planet. So that's certainly totally in line, and creating shared value. And yeah, I think that's our responsibility, and hence sustainability is not like one subject in the curriculum at TIAS. It really is interwoven throughout. We have a business and society competency model where we look at responsible leadership, collaboration, business models, and sustainable innovation, that's interwoven throughout the programs to really support the students that they're able to go out and make that positive impact. I also think on a more operational aspect, you need to practice what you preach if you're talking about this. So even in our operations at TIAS, the building has cradle-to-cradle furniture, energy efficiency, A-level, stickers in the restrooms about your water usage, but also looking at who our suppliers are for coffee, for water. And also, that's a moment to mention Perlego, that we was definitely a conscious choice, thinking about trees and saving our environment, to not be ordering all those thousands of textbooks every year, but to look if we can provide something online, and not only such digital, but that's actually quite interactive, that the lecturer can make notes and the students can make notes in these books. So I also think that online aspect has also supports in our desire to be a sustainable business school.
Amazing, thank you. And further to that, you've both highlighted to me some really exciting initiatives that your institutions are working on that have a focus on sustainability. So Gretchen, could you tell us about TIAS's project with Exeter University?
Yes, I'm happy to do so. Maybe first some background information. In my previous position at TIAS, I was responsible for alumni relations and career development. And back in 2019, I met a careers colleague from Exeter at a conference, and we were sharing about our MBA programs, and we noticed a lot of similarity, that responsible leadership, sustainability are both woven into our programs, and we thought it'd be great to collaborate in some way. And then came Corona, and nobody thought about collaboration or traveling for a number of years. And after Corona, our business school really had digitalization as a part of the overall strategy. And in my new current role, I was struggling a bit as to, okay, what does that mean? How can I implement this? I have international programs. People want to come here and experience the programs. So I found that a bit challenging, and I asked my advisory board. We have an MBA advisory board of various people from business and academia. Okay, what do I do with digitalization? And the simple advice was use online, use digitalization when it benefits the students' learning. Now, really simple, but it kind of hit home. And it made me think I'm going to contact Exeter again. And we came up with an online MBA sustainability challenge where we had a company come in and provide a challenge that they really have. And our two MBA groups, they worked online in mixed groups, using everything that they learned on the MBA to be able to solve that challenge and really present their findings to that company. And it was such a rewarding experience because all MBA students say that they want to have more contact with companies. They want to apply what they're learning. They really have a genuine interest in sustainability. They like to network. They have like the international experience. So this was a really rewarding experience. IBM and Schiphol Airports were our first two companies to work on with us. And this past year, we opened up the challenge to include Gibbs MBA from South Africa. So it increased the internationalization of it even more. And being it online also meant that we weren't flying all over the world. So in that sense, it hit the digitalization, the internationalization, and the sustainability in one go. Something I'm really proud of, you can probably tell.
Really great to give the students access to such exciting companies as well to work with. What an amazing experience. And then Peter, could you tell us a bit about the Climate Action Network for International Educators and LSBF's involvement?
Yes, Isabel. First, I have a question. We usually refer to it as an abbreviation, CANIE. How would you pronounce that?
So do you know the reason I said the full name was because I wasn't 100% sure how to pronounce it and I didn't want to get it wrong. Caney, how would you refer to it?
Caney or Canine? I'm not really sure. Probably Caney, no?
Right. That was my first instinct, but I'm glad we're all
okay, let's stick with Caney then. Yeah, what is Caney? Is, as you said, is the Climate Action Network for International Educators. It's basically a volunteer grassroots initiative formed by international education practitioners from around the world and who see the need for our sector to step up and act on climate change. Now, Caney serves as a kind of platform to bring the sector together to act as a catalyst for action, for climate action. And its mission is to inspire and support international educators, but institutions and organizations to take concrete action that reduces environmental impacts and promotes sustainability. More concretely, Caney works to raise awareness about the environmental impacts of international education activities such as travel, as Gretchen mentioned, resource use, Perlego, and encourages the sector to engage in sustainable practices. But it also provides resources, workshops, and training programs designed to help educators and institutions adopt environmentally responsible practices. This includes things like carbon reduction strategies, curriculum development focused on climate action, etc. It also serves as a kind of platform for international educators to connect, share ideas, collaborate on climate-focused projects. And by bringing together all these educators globally, they aim to drive sector-wide change. And Caney also focuses on collecting and sharing data related to the carbon footprint of international education, which helps institutions to understand their impact and implement measurable sustainability goals. Now, finally, Caney members and affiliate organizations, they pledge to reduce their carbon emissions, they adopt sustainable policies, and integrate climate action into their educational practices and programs by signing the Caney Accord commitments, which is a kind of contract in which educational institutions commit to achieve certain targets, and progress is measured on a regular basis. In short, its activities reflect the idea that international education, which often involves substantial travel or resource use, has a responsibility to align with climate action goals and sustainable practices. It aims to make environmental stewardship an integral part of global education, influencing policies and practices that will reduce our sector's carbon footprint. Now, what is our role? LSBF is an active member in Caney, and we have also signed the Caney Accord, and we try to do all the things mentioned above. I'm not saying we are there by far, but I think we have laid the foundation. We have put measures in place which cover most of these policies, and it is our aim, our vision, and our ambition to reach those goals as soon as possible.
Thank you for that. It sounds like a really kind of important and forward-thinking community for business schools to be part of. What I find especially interesting about both of these initiatives, and you both touched on this, is that although their key focus is sustainability, they are both international programs, bringing students and educators together from institutions in different countries to collaborate and strive for a more sustainable future. And this brings me nicely onto our second topic for today's webinar. Peter, I know that you mentioned that all of LSBF's programs that you work on are online. So how important are kind of international programs and accommodating international students to LSBF?
I think they are vital to the success and relevance of any business school in a globalized world, not just LSBF. I thought about this topic and I made some notes, and I think that some of the reasons could be, and I will just mention a few. It's not by any length complete. International students, first of all, they bring diverse cultural perspectives. So they basically enrich classroom discussions, group projects, and also case studies. And this diversity is thought and background, we believe, fosters creativity, critical thinking, and a broader understanding of global markets and business practices. And such type of diversity, I think, is essential in preparing students for a multicultural work environment. Another reason is that international programs attract students from all over the world, creating a unique networking environment. Students gain connections across different regions, industries, cultures, continents sometimes, which can be very valuable for their careers. Because these networks can later serve also as bridges between markets, and by doing so, aiding international collaboration, investment, and expansion. Thirdly, I would say that by accommodating international students and integrating international programs, business schools can offer curricula that cover global business challenges and cross-cultural management. This again prepares students to work not only domestically, but also internationally, understanding the nuances of operating across borders. Another reason is that having international programs and a multicultural student body prepares students to engage with the challenges of an international career, such as working across time zones, maybe adapting to the cultural differences, and navigating various regulatory environments. And it also enables local students to practice intercultural communication skills and gain exposure to different business etiquettes. Now, finally, accommodating international students and implementing international programs, I think, helps business schools to nurture leaders who can operate effectively in a globalized economy. Graduates with an understanding of international issues, an understanding of diverse cultural perspectives, and who have the ability to work collaboratively across borders are highly valued, we believe, in today's business world. So to sum it up, international programs and the inclusion of international students bring value not only to the students and the institutions, but I believe also to the broader business and economic community, because they help develop the skills, perspectives, and networks that we need to succeed in a complex and increasingly interconnected global economy.
Absolutely. Thank you. So then, Gretchen, I wanted to ask you, how do you encourage international students to join your courses at TS, whether that's students studying from their home countries or coming from their home countries to study on campus?
Okay. I wanted to add one thing to what Peter said, if I may.
Absolutely.
I totally agree with everything Peter said. What I also discover when dealing with our international students is that they not only learn a lot about different cultures, or they learn a lot about doing business in different areas of the world, but they also learn so much about themselves when they're dealing with people who are different than themselves. So, you know, we tend to be a bit in our own bubble in life, but on these international programs, and you have to deal with people who think differently, have different perspectives. It challenges the way you think, and it challenges what you stand for. And I think this is really something that we give to society, in the sense of bringing these people together so that they can learn not only about others, but also about, okay, who am I and what do I stand for when I'm dealing with people who are different than myself? So I think this just, it's beautiful in that sense to see people develop not only professionally, but also personally. I
agree. I agree with you, Gretchen. It's very true. You know, I always say to my students, culture, national culture in itself, is only relevant if you compare it to other national cultures. Otherwise, you know, we all do the same things based on our identical history, etc. But when you're exposed to other cultures, it makes you think much more about your own culture as well, and where you come from and what your specific values are. So yes, I absolutely agree.
Yeah, nice. Okay, sorry for that little interjection.
No worries at all.
But your question had to do with, how do we attract internationals?
Attract, recruit.
Right. Well, I think TS School for Business and Society, we are a small business school. We have a small marketing budget, let's say, perhaps in comparison to a lot of other large brand names out there. I think in the first place, we depend on our accreditations. So the value of AMBA, of an AACSB, that really demonstrates the quality that that we provide. Our rankings, that is something that is a wonderful way for free that you can get name recognition, being both in the Financial Times and in the QS. The Financial Times, we do particularly well in the area of career development or career progress, which is something that international students find quite interesting in their quest to study abroad. So that visibility is extremely important to us. We have a representative office in Asia who actually reaches out directly in the region to engage with prospective students. Of course, as many schools do, we go to international fairs, have webinars, are on portals, all these aspects. I think what really helps us actually the most for our business school is our team of program advisors, whether it's in Asia or it's here in the Netherlands, that they really spend time with people and understanding what their educational and career ambitions are. It's a big step for an international prospective student to, you know, across the ocean and embark on a studies, and, you know, leaving that which is known and coming to that which is unknown. And I think the guidance that we provide it really helps people to make that decision. So I think it's a combination of, you know, really relying on accreditations, rankings, and then the operational aspects that we have and the people that are on the ground doing the work.
I'm actually interested to ask both of you just a little bonus question from me. What sorts of countries are you seeing most of your international students coming from? Are there any kind of regions that you attract a lot of students from for your courses?
I think, in generally speaking, we have interest from Asian countries, particularly because we have people who are actually there. So definitely in Asia and also in India, but I mean, there's also a lot of people from these countries who are wanting to study abroad. So there's definitely interest there, and South America and Africa mainly. Yeah.
Peter, is that similar for you?
Yes, of course, being in an online education institution, it means that, you know, by far most of our students come from outside the UK.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
A large portion comes from Asia, especially India. India is probably one of the largest groups within our total student body, but also increasingly and quite fast, Africa. Countries like Nigeria, etc., they are really coming up. I mean, we see an increasing influx of students from Africa. Yeah.
So on that, in terms of the online courses at LSBF, what kind of types of online education, or what do you do with your online education to benefit and support those international students?
Yeah, so when you sent me the question, I had to think a bit about it, because for me, having been in you know, in online education for 12 years, it was kind of obvious, you know. So I had to really think about formulating, you know, what are benefits of online education to international students. I think first of all, online education gives them access to programs and courses from universities worldwide without the need for relocation. That's a major advantage, obviously. It broadens their options and allows them also to choose programs that fit their career and their academic and career goals, without having to worry about travel restrictions. Visa requirements, very important, especially countries like India and African countries very often still need visa requirements, or also the cost of relocating. So that's, I think, a main benefit of online. Another benefit is probably it also often reduces the costs associated with traditional education. No travel, housing, visa-free, no visa fees. And many online programs also offer lower tuition rates, and students can save on commuting, making it just more affordable option for international students. And again, especially for students from the regions we just discussed, this is a very important point. Cost is a real issue. Now, other benefit might be that many online courses offer asynchronous learning options. This means that students can access our lectures and assignments and resources at any time. This flexibility allows them also to learn according to their own time zone and schedule, and help them to balance study with other commitments. And here, I think this is especially the case for online students. Many of our students often need to work while studying, and this flexibility allows them to do that. And also the availability of recorded lectures, digital resources, self-paced modules enables students to tailor their learning experience to their own needs. This, I think, is something that is a major benefit. Finally, I think that online learning encourages international students to build strong digital communication and collaboration skills, which are essential in today's global workforce. Many of our programs have interactive features, discussion boards, group projects, networking events, and which help students connect with peers and faculty from around the world.
Great, thank you. Gretchen, did you have anything you'd like to add here?
I really can't add to any of that. No, we don't have online programs as such at TIAS. In that sense, I can fully understand all of the remarks that Peter made and all the benefits of it. I think we do have some blended aspects, and that helps students to be able to look back on something that they've learned in class, those kinds of things. So in your own time, be able to reflect. These aspects I think are important, and also the examples I had of being able with the Exeter program, for example, the sustainability challenge, that you're able to connect with people you normally never would have online. So I think that network aspect can also add. But I think with Peter and all his online programs, he's mentioned everything I think that could possibly be a benefit.
So then I'll ask you instead, Gretchen, are there any particular challenges or stumbling blocks you've come across in the process of offering education to international students? And maybe you could talk a little on how you've been able to overcome these.
Yeah, I think when you asked me that, the first thing that came in my mind was a very operational issue, and that's housing. In the Netherlands, that can be a challenge. But once again, that's an operational issue. We simply have more resources focused on finding opportunities for where our students can be housed, and then you solve it. I think one of the things that also comes to my mind, and as perhaps not only international students, but okay, with international students, they, it's always been that way. They're coming to a new location. They need to adjust. It's a different culture. It's a different food, different weather. They need to find their way. And at the same time, they need to be doing their studies. And that can be, that can be a lot to deal with. But what I do see, and that is not only with internationals, but in general, that as the generations, that people are finding it more and more challenging to deal with all the different aspects of life, and their well-being, their mental well-being is a concern. What we have done, and that is an online program where we're using an organization that provides the opportunity for students to have online conversations with a psychologist. They also have programs dealing with online programs on stress management, dealing with conflict, time management, self-confidence. I mean, we're all there for our students. At the same time, we're not psychologists. So sometimes it goes beyond what we are able to provide them. So I find it really important to be able to provide a resource for our students in this manner. So that I think is important. And yeah, AI. But that's not only for international students.
Yeah,
that is definitely something that has come about, not only for the students, but also for us staff. And how do we make use of it? How do we teach our students to use it in a way where they can benefit from it without it doing the work for them?
yeah.
So I think these are our challenges, but maybe I think coping with life in general, I think that's for people in today's society more and more complicated, and that's we find important to be able to support in that way.
I can imagine, with all the challenges of starting, university education, they can only be magnified by moving to a whole new country and a whole new culture. So it must be important. Those resources that you discuss must be really important, especially for the international students.
Yeah.
To support those students. Peter, I don't know if you have any other perspectives on this in terms of particular challenges you found with supporting those students, maybe studying online from their home countries.
Well, I think I can be relatively short about this one, because as I mentioned before, online education takes away many of the stumbling blocks that Gretchen just mentioned. That traditional classroom education has, for instance, well, you don't need visa, you don't need housing, you don't need travel, etc. So that's a big advantage. If I really focus on online education, I would say sometimes the main stumbling block could be language. right? To what extent are students sufficiently fluent in English?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think we should be a bit more strict on that in terms of intake.
Mm-hmm.
That's, of course, my view as a professor. The marketing and sales team probably have a different opinion about this.
Yeah.
Another potential stumbling block is internet access or the reliability of internet. Because it's fully online, it means, of course, they need to have proper access to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I do understand from our technical department that we have tried to minimize any technical issues in this respect by making all our programs as light as possible. So relatively easy to connect, to download, etc., etc. But sometimes for students still it can be a problem, certainly in areas where internet connection is rather poor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Gretchen also mentioned AI. Yes, of course, AI is definitely an issue, certainly for us as educators. In the case of online, maybe even more than in Gretchen's situation, where at least there is regular face-to-face, and you can actually see, you know whether people have grasped the content of the course. In our case, of course, because it's all written, that's sometimes more complicated. Mm-hmm. But we are now experimenting with, for instance, different ways of examination. Now, for instance, we have a program, it's called Kira, and students get at a certain moment of the day, they get access to the exam. They get 5 minutes to prepare, and then they have to speak to their camera. It's a video basically to a camera, and they have 2 minutes to come up with an answer. Now, because they have a very short preparation time, they have to fall back on knowledge gained during the course. If that knowledge is not there, it's going to be a problem for them. And we've done that now several times, and it kind of works well, I have to say. You can really see which students actually have paid attention, have gone through all the material, and which ones thought, I will last minute try to give it a twist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Fascinating. A little bit more kind of almost FaceTime with the students, I suppose, which must be really interesting.
Yeah. But they have to, it's recorded. And so after that, in our own time, we can then watch the videos and grade them.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. So I'm just checking the time. We have a few minutes left before we move on to the kind of question and answer section of the webinar. And I can see a few questions have come through from those watching. So thanks so much for those. And if anyone else has any other questions, then please pop them in that question box in the next few minutes. In the meantime, I wanted to ask, I'll start with you, Peter. Have you got any final advice or reflections for the audience on harnessing modern technologies to future-proof business education?
Oh,
a big question, I know.
Good question. Of course, technology is key in online education. And of course, I do believe that modern technologies can significantly future-proof business education, simply by aligning it with the evolving needs of the digital economy. We are living in the digital age, in the digital economy, and we have to ensure that graduates are prepared for this world that increasingly asks for tech-savvy, adaptable, innovative professionals.
Sure.
Some possible examples of modern technologies could be, for instance, AI-driven platforms, which can analyze student performance and learning styles to offer maybe a more customized content and resources, and therefore offering a more individualized and effective learning experience.
Sure.
For example, adaptive learning systems adjust the difficulty of coursework in real time, helping students to better master content at their own pace. Now, that's one possibility. Another one is, for instance, VR and AR, virtual reality and augmented reality. They provide, of course, hands-on learning experiences. Students can use VR to participate, for instance, in simulated business negotiations or product design or supply chain management. And in a way, you offer them then practical skills in a risk-free environment. So that would be another, I guess, technology that could be very useful. And then there are platforms that simulate kind of real world business scenarios, which allow students to test strategies in finance, marketing, etc. These experiences can help them bridge the gap between the theoretical knowledge and practical application. And again, preparing students then to make better decisions in high-stake environments.
Yeah.
Now, finally, maybe using tools like Slack, Microsoft Teams, Zooms enable students to work on projects with peers from around the world. And so this is a kind of minimum necessity, I would say, nowadays, having access to this type of tools, which they can use then to develop teamwork, communication skills that are essential in the modern business world. Maybe one more, courses on AI, blockchain, IoT, Internet of Things, and other emerging technologies obviously prepare students to lead or contribute to business transformation. So these tech-savvy casuals, I think, are well positioned to help organizations innovate and stay competitive.
Mm-hmm. I also think maybe an overlooked part of business education, but an understanding of tools like Slack and Microsoft Teams is only going to go to prepare them for what they're in the working world, which is a real kind of leapfrog moment when they start their first kind of roles, which is great. Thank you so much, Peter. Gretchen, same question for you. Any final advice or reflections on harnessing modern technologies to future-proof business education?
Yeah, I think we use, particularly with our career services, our career development services, we make use of programs, for example, in creating a CV where in a system, and it gets feedback on the student gets feedback, electronic feedback on the design of their CV, and then when it gets to a certain percentage rate that it's okay, then they can have a conversation with the career consultant to take it to the next level. I think particularly for our younger students and embarking in their early stages of their career, that this can be really helpful. Also, when you're dealing with bigger numbers, I think on our MBA with people so diverse that you need more of a customized approach where we have our career consultants do that for them, but also using AI and preparing them in how to use it in for their careers. There we have been focusing on a lot, and in fact, at TS, I have to say we've just had initiated the idea of introducing my AI moment, and that is all staff and faculty of reserving time each week to embark and explore more, but also share with colleagues what they're using, what they're learning. And I think that that's also a good step in making it work for us, and not that it does the work,
yeah,
but that it helps us, not only the staff, the faculty, but also the students in making what they want even stronger. And I think that's the whole ideal situation with these kinds of tools that we need to embrace.
Absolutely.
They're
not getting away. So
no.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much both. So I can see we've got a couple of questions in the question box. So I'm going to put one or two of those to you. We've got a few minutes left. I also thought it might be nice. We've prepared a little poll for the audience members to kind of interact a little bit with the topics we've been talking about. So is it possible to kind of bring the poll up now? Thank you so much. So the question that we're asking in the poll, and I'd be keen to hear both of your thoughts on this as well, perfect, is which of the following is your business school's biggest strategic priority for 2025? And we are asking you to just choose one, which I know is tricky, but the options we've given are student recruitment and retention, widening participation, employability for graduates, sustainability, harnessing artificial intelligence, and other. So if we give everyone just a minute or two to select Sikandar, I don't know if you're able to see that people are filling in the poll. Maybe you can let us know when we have some answers, and we can close it off and have a look at the results. Is that possible? Oh, you are on mute.
Apologies. Yeah, we've got 30 out of 45 people who've answered.
All righty. Let's give it just a second more. Okay, let's have a look at the results then. Let's see what people have gone for. I'm interested to see if there's one that kind of stands out that more people have chosen, or.
I've just shared that with you.
So, Gretchen or Peter, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this. Is this surprising? I'm surprised to see harnessing artificial intelligence coming so low down.
Yeah, that surprises me. In all honesty, I had student recruitment and retention also in the first place. I mean, we are a private institution, but I think also for public institutions, this is of course increasingly important that we recruit and retain students.
Yeah.
Let's face it. But I would have put harnessing artificial intelligence on 2 and sustainability on 3.
Okay, amazing. And how about you, Gretchen?
Kind of in the same line as Peter. I think that those are harnessing AI is extremely important. Of course, student admission and retention indeed important. That you want to make sure that that people, when they start, that they also finish, but that they also come back with lifelong learning. So in that sense, that is certainly one of our strategic priorities. At the same time, that harnessing AI is extremely important, and sustainability, that's so ingrained with us that will always remain a top priority.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So let me close that off. Let's just have a look at the questions we have received. Okay, so there's one for each of you, which look really interesting, which is great. So someone has asked you, Gretchen, let me if I can answer live. Does TS have any online component in its current MBA offering approach as a way to enhance how it integrates internationalization and sustainability?
Yeah, that would be in that sense the program that we have with Exeter, that online component. That is the main aspect that we use. And yeah, online we don't have any of the courses except for that. We don't have any of the courses online. There is that blended perspective where people can look at materials outside of the class that we provide, but there's not an online program at this time, though. That is something that, of course, we recognize that is important to review if we go in that direction. It's not if, when.
Absolutely. And there's a question for you, Peter. Someone has said, thank you for the interesting webinar. I have a question for Peter. How much trust and respect are given to online international business education as described? So I'm assuming in the international business community.
That's a good question again. I would say, but that's a bit of an open door. Of course, it depends on the individual online educational institution. I mean, if it's a serious institution, they have a solid program, there is a solid quality assurance, then there is no reason whatsoever not to trust an international education. And of course, there are also some highly respected international online programs, which are part of Harvard, part of all the big names, which shows that online can also have the same quality standard as let's say classroom. Having said that, I think because online can offer its services to people, all over the world, but with different income brackets as well. And of course, because online education generally it's less expensive to do, because you don't need all the buildings, the classrooms, the teachers, staff at the premises, etc. Yes, you can also offer it at a lower price, which makes it again more accessible for many students who can really not afford to travel to another country, get housing there, pay the very often high fees. Now, whether this has an influence on the quality again of the education, that very much depends on the individual school. I'm not saying that we are the very best business school in the world, but I think we offer a very solid program, and it's very accessible. And people that graduate at our school, they have a solid understanding of the modern business world.
Absolutely. So I think we are just about out of time. I wanted to say thank you so much to both of you, Gretchen and Peter, for taking the time to join this webinar today. It's been really fascinating to hear both of your thoughts, and really interesting from our audience perspective as well, I'm sure, to hear thoughts from two such kind of diverse international business schools. So thank you so much. I also wanted to say thank you so much to Amber for enabling this webinar to happen. And unless anyone else has any final comments, I will pass back over to Amber for kind of some final housekeeping and thoughts.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you once again to our partner, Perlego, and our panel for such a fascinating insight. Thank you all for joining us for your brilliant questions and interactions. I hope you enjoyed the session as much as I did. But if you missed anything, don't worry, because the recording and the slides, the recording will be available in the post-event comms and on the AMBA BGA website within about a week. Thank you once again, everyone.